In response to the question of which style of yoga to choose, it can be clearly stated, you should select the one that personally appeals to you. There is no better or worse style, only the one that best meets your current needs, physical capabilities, and inner desires. Initially, a person chooses based on sensations, perceptions, convenience, or even randomly, which is just as valid as any other method, as it means that everything happened organically and the person allowed it to unfold. Later on, some individuals switch schools, others try to explore all available styles, while for some, their initial choice remains the only true one for their entire life. But how do they actually differ? Most modern schools stem from ancient Hatha yoga, but have undergone significant transformations. The main text, Hatha Yoga Pradipika, describes only 15 asanas, all of which are static. 4 of them stand out as the most important: Siddhasana, or the perfect pose, where the heel presses against the perineum, stimulating energy nodes; Padmasana, or lotus pose, designed to eliminate all diseases and awaken Kundalini; Simhasana, or lion pose, characterized by a tongue-out position and a tense throat, used to cleanse the throat center and enhance health; and Bhadrasana, or auspicious pose, which resembles the modern butterfly pose and aims to strengthen the pelvic floor. In addition to seated poses, ancient texts mention poses deemed magical, Mayurasana, or peacock pose, a balance on the hands with elbows pressing against the abdomen, said to aid in digesting even the worst food; Paschimottanasana, or forward bend, considered vital for allowing life energy, prana, to flow through the central channel; Sushumna, Matsyendrasana, or twisting pose, believed to ignite the inner fire and heal severe ailments; and Shavasana, which was already used to relieve fatigue and calm the mind. Modern Hatha yoga emerged relatively recently, in the second quarter of the 20th century. The father of modern Hatha yoga is considered to be T. Krishnamacharya, who in the 1930s taught at the yoga hall in the Maharaja of Mysore's palace. Today, Hatha yoga is perhaps the most popular style in the world. If you enter a yoga studio and see just the word yoga on the schedule, in 90% of cases, it will refer to Hatha. This is a highly adaptable school, having no rigid sequences, allowing instructors to create a practice tailored to specific needs: yoga for a healthy back, yoga for hip opening, or anti-stress yoga. The popularity of this school lies in the foundational nature of its approach. It is well suited for beginners and provides a foundation for understanding injury safety and balancing strength training with stretching without acrobatics. The next style, Iyengar yoga, is often referred to as engineering Hatha yoga. While in other styles the mat is generally the only prop, Iyengar yoga makes use of various props: blocks, straps, blankets, bolsters, chairs, and ropes. These aids help beginners, older adults, or those with physical limitations perform asanas correctly, minimizing the risk of injury or overexertion. The classes themselves are characterized by precision. Incorrect body alignment and mistakes are actively identified and corrected. Poses are held for a relatively long period of time, with the aim of achieving maximum correctness of body alignment and understanding its biomechanics. The main focus is essentially on mastering technique, but while in sports technique serves as the foundation for achieving results, such as lifting maximum weight or developing specific muscle groups for display, here, correct technique is the key to achieving the maximum therapeutic effect. Although the sequences follow the principle of starting with simple movements, progressing to complex ones, and ending with recovery exercises, they can be flexible and varied, depending on the session's goals, the student's level, or their physical condition. The instructor can structure the lesson by focusing on a specific muscle group, joint, or therapeutic objective. The approach to practice in another world-famous yoga school, Ashtanga, is somewhat different. The asanas are almost the same as those in Iyengar, and they even share the same names, which is not surprising since the founders of their respective styles, Joyce and Iyengar, both come from the same yoga school in Mysore and are students of Tirumalai Krishnamacharya. However, the methods of performing asanas and their alignment differ radically. Iyengar yoga offers a deeper, more detailed, and therapeutic exploration of each pose, while Ashtanga yoga focuses on dynamic flow, or vinyasa, synchronized with breath. The poses smoothly transition from one to another, creating a continuous movement. The holding of asanas is less prolonged, while the transitions between poses are quick, often executed with sharp exhales and inhales, which helps develop strength, flexibility, and endurance through a continuous rhythm. In Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga, there is a strict, fixed sequence of asanas that students master step by step, moving on to the next only after fully mastering the previous one, which creates clear, measurable goals. For results-oriented individuals, this is very appealing as it provides a sense of control and predictability. Mastering a new pose, progressing to the next series, and achieving a certain level of skill motivate them to continue. It's important to understand that the exercises themselves are not aimed at an end result. There are no competitions or medals, and the process occurring in the present moment is more important than any potential outcome in the future. However, by the time a yogi no longer needs additional motivation and begins to enjoy even the most serious workouts, they are likely to no longer require teachers and schools. Nonetheless, at a certain stage, a school is undoubtedly necessary. Some may need it less, just to learn how to perform asanas correctly, while others may require time to develop a full independent practice. Vinyasa Flow Yoga is a great option for understanding what to change in asanas. This style, born from the fluidity principle of Ashtanga, incorporates elements from other schools. The sequence of asanas can vary significantly from class to class and from teacher to teacher, unlike Ashtanga, where a clear Mysore style is always used, with all students in the room practicing individually at their own pace, following the sequence, while the teacher approaches each one, providing personal instructions and adjustments. The pace can range from slow and smooth to very fast and intense, with poses held for either a short time for flow or longer for deeper work. Props can also be used to adapt poses and deepen alignment. In Ashtanga Yoga, one of the central elements is the Ujjayi breath, where the air first fills the lower abdomen, then rises to the lower chest, and finally moves into the upper chest and throat. The throat muscles slightly constrict, causing the air to produce a whispering sound as it enters and exits the vocal cords, creating a characteristic atmosphere of huffing during practice, especially when many students are in the room. Ujjayi breath is also used in Vinyasa flow, but other types of breathing may be applied, or the focus on breathing may be less strict. Vinyasa flow, which is more eclectic and often combines elements from Ashtanga, Iyengar yoga, and even Western fitness techniques, is sometimes dismissively referred to as non-traditional. However, it's worth remembering that both Ashtanga and Iyengar, as we know them, only emerged in the mid-20th century. Another practice rooted in ancient systems, but developed relatively recently, at the end of the 20th century, is Yin Yoga. This very calm style focuses on deeply impacting the connective tissues of the body, such as ligaments, tendons, fascia, and joints. It draws inspiration from both traditional Hatha yoga and Taoist practices, as well as traditional Chinese medicine. The concept of meridians and the circulation of qi energy in the body underlies the understanding of Yin Yoga's effect on energy channels. A key feature of Yin Yoga is the prolonged holding of asanas for 3 to 5 minutes, and sometimes even longer. This approach allows for a gentle yet deep impact on the connective tissues. The asanas are performed passively, meaning you do not engage your muscles to maintain the pose. Instead, you find the edge of comfort and discomfort and relax into the position. It is essential to identify the point where you feel stretching or pressure, but not sharp pain. If you do feel pain, you should come out of the pose or modify it. Dynamic styles of yoga, sometimes referred to as Yang Yoga, primarily work with the muscles. In contrast, Yin Yoga is primarily aimed at deeper, denser tissues to increase joint mobility and improve fluid circulation within the tissues. Yin Yoga also features a relatively small set of asanas, with most poses being seated or lying down, which are easy to adapt and allow for gentle effects on the hips, pelvis, spine, and shoulders. Props may be used, but not as extensively as in Iyengar yoga. In a sense, it can be seen as the complete opposite of Vinyasa schools. In all the mentioned practices, we can separately categorize them into asanas, pranayamas, and meditations. In Vinyasa schools, this separation is more conditional, as the Ujjayi breath itself is a form of pranayama. Nonetheless, asanas can be practiced separately. In Kundalini yoga, however, the practice is based on kriyas, clearly defined sequences of asanas, pranayamas, mantras, mudras, and meditations. Most asanas in Kundalini yoga are performed in combination with dynamic movements and pranayama, rather than being held statically. Various breathing techniques are often used, such as fire breath, alternate nostril breathing, long deep breaths, and regular inhales and exhales. Mudras, specific hand and finger positions, and the repetition of mantras are also incorporated during asana practice. Another distinguishing feature of Kundalini yoga is its focus on the energetic aspect. Its primary goal is the awakening of Kundalini energy rather than merely physical flexibility or strength. It cannot be said that practices from other schools do not lead to this awakening, nor can they be considered less spiritual or less energetic. But in this practice, this aspect is emphasized from the outset. Practitioners of Kundalini frequently describe sensations of warmth, tingling, and vibration as the rise of energy. All of this can, of course, also be described as an increase in blood circulation, activation of nerve endings, and an overall change in muscle and tissue tone. But in any case, it represents a clear and significant enhancement in the perception of signals from the interoceptive system. In fact, the very concept of Kundalini explicitly states that a person cannot directly influence the energy body. It is impossible to simply use one's will to redirect energy from Ida to Pingala through any kind of effort. Influence or sensation can only occur indirectly at the level of the physical body. So, by and large, it doesn't matter exactly how to describe the sensations. What matters is their very presence. If they exist, this is an indisputable and obvious fact for both the practitioner and the observer. Such sensations serve as a powerful incentive to continue the practices, but one shouldn't attach too much importance to them, as this creates additional expectations, which in turn become an obstacle. Through calm and non-judgmental observation, you actually develop the skill of concentration. Given that Kundalini yoga offers an intense and energetically charged experience, one might say that it is not very suitable for beginners. But here, everyone must decide for themselves. It's important to remember that yoga isn't a competitive sport with a single gold medal standard. What serves as a remedy for one person, such as the rigorous discipline of Ashtanga, can be harmful to another who has a spinal injury or is suffering from nervous exhaustion. The best style is one that respects your anatomy and current capacity, rather than breaking them. The body changes every day. Today, strength training might be best, and tomorrow, after a sleepless night, gentle stretching. The worst kind of yoga is the one you do through pain, ignoring your body's signals, or the one you give up because it bores you. The best is the one you're willing to return to regularly because you feel that it's exactly what your whole being needs right now.